So we would read the curriculum first
As a board.
and then have a meeting,
A public meeting.
a public meeting
No,
to
we
hear,
Then vote on it.
to hear the concerns,
Correct.
and then vote on the curriculum?
Yes.
At that same meeting at the public.
Well, it
Not
was,
necessarily.
I
No,
think it's being asked
at the
for
next
this
I
session.
think it would be at the next board meeting, because if there's any, you know, anything that should be taken into account, that we agree upon, that should be, then Mr. Wasserman is gonna need time to do that.
So the question is, what's prior to board approval? Prior to a vote?
A public
The open
meeting.
public forum.
But we don't
Board will have
micromanage,
a-
that's not our job.
I'm not asking
It's just
myself.
oversight, it's not micro, what you're saying is change the curriculum if we don't agree, or we
No,
don't.
I'm asking you to give a voice to everybody, which is what we're here elected for.
I understand
So that,
that, that's why we have.
you're saying this is,
But you're saying they can't be at meetings every month, that's why we need to videotape it.
Yeah.
Yet you're saying they're all gonna make themselves present.
I didn't say they're all gonna make,
Special
I'm saying that
meetings.
people who feel this is extremely important will try to make themselves, or someone like Ms. Monaco had someone else write a letter, and Ms. Weber's was read by someone else. I mean, these are things that frankly, other boards do, and it's very successful, and you know what? It creates less of a, antagonistic environment with people in the audience that are going back and forth on their beliefs. Let's give them a voice so that they know we hear all of it, they have an input, we're understanding that we have our experts that can then say, hey, well, that's not really gonna work with what we have to do, but maybe there's something we could change here. Why is this not something that would be made available? We're here, we're public servants. We are elected to be public servants to make sure they're heard. I understand we don't micromanage, however, we do have to make sure their voices are heard. If all we say is go ahead, write us curriculum, okay, you have 1 week to look at it, now we're gonna vote on it, now there's nothing we can do about it, can't change. That's not letting people's voices be heard. Give them a forum. Give them a forum specifically for something as important as this, so that they can talk about it. It's a couple of hours.
So,
I'm more than happy to provide my time.
it seems to me, and maybe again, I'll use the word semantics, but similar to tonight, we had a presentation of our self-assessment for the HIP grade for the NJDOE. So, I'm kind of, in my mind, what I think I'm hearing is perhaps that there should be a presentation at a board meeting, whether you call it a special public meeting or a board meeting, that would, a presentation to the board that would specifically related to health and PE, indicating how things have been realigned to the New
Grade
Jersey
for grade.
standards.
I think that's a
By
great idea.
grade, and for example, I mean, again, I'm speaking off the top of my head, grade 4, here's when it happens, here's what are the topics that are covered. And kind
I think that's.
of
what
putting
we
that
need to say.
into a presentation so that board members or members of the public have an understanding of how
I would
things are
appreciate
being
that greatly.
realigned.
I think that would be something that would be, well received. Very well received.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, I said that could be done within a normal board meeting, and then that could be followed up by
So
public
long as-
comment. But then it could be followed up by the public comment that we can
So long
review.
as there is, I would say, interaction and questions being answered by the public.
Right,
Yeah.
and what you're
Like
saying,
in open,
right.
purposes in open forum.
which
So
we
the
don't
presentation would be
have the
great.
time for that in a normal meeting, it'll be forever. That's what I'm saying, if it's a specific meeting, we put a 2-hour time frame on it, and that's it. 15-minute presentation, you have an hour plus to discuss, and then we go home and determine where we go from there. Maybe it's just a matter of saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do, everybody's happy. Which is very possible, Mike. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying let's give the option. Let's you know what? Let's extend the olive branch to everybody for this. That's all. Because frankly, I don't understand where things are supposed to go, and when you tell me, well, it's there's not a specific class for K through 3. It's kind of interjected. Well, what does that mean? I don't understand. And I have kids who just went through this. So I think the motion is on the table. I think we vote on it. I think that it makes a lot of sense, and I'm hoping people will agree.
I think the motion is great, but what I don't like is the yelling back and forth. And I think that's gonna happen. I think the presentation will be great to the public and the board, but to have an open discussion, we can't have an open discussion right now without people yelling.
Well, I think
So
you provide a couple of minutes, maybe 2 minutes, to come up and speak with answers, right? We'll have a list of people who want to talk about certain things. Understand it's a 2 minute, you have 2 minutes to discuss what your issue is. Because remember, we're not hitting everything on here, right? We're hitting one thing. So I think 2 minutes is more than enough. And that gives it, then we'll provide 1 minute of response, 2 minutes of response, and then we move on to the next one. Now what that does is, gives them a voice, gives us a chance to respond, doesn't play into it, we don't allow the hecklers.
How does that,
But we
what
don't
I'm
allow
saying,
them
we
here.
have
We
both
still
people
have
on
it.
both sides right here.
You're
So
always-
how, of course, we're always gonna have that.
Right.
So how do we contain that? We just had a major situation months ago. We don't wanna see that recreated again.
Well, and I think that, you know, Trish, at the beginning of the meeting, she told us, you know, how everybody needs to behave, and I think that if there are people misbehaving, then she can eject them.
We ask them to.
That's it.
We tried that too.
Yeah.
It hasn't worked.
No, listen, but.
I mean, I wouldn't turn away, you know, transparency in a public, you know, for a few people that, you know,
If
may
it
get.
degenerates, we.
I understand, but everyone's voices will not be heard, because you do have people that are afraid to get up and say something. Because of the people that are screaming and
So
yelling.
what?
I know, but you're.
Exactly.
But you're providing.
Exactly.
You're providing the forum. You're providing the forum. Okay, listen, not everybody's like me. I obviously don't care, because I stand up in front of a million people and say whatever the hell I feel like saying. That's just normal. I know not everybody's like that. However, provide the forum. Like I said, there's certain people who have come up, for even simply the high five, all you're going up to say is, my teacher's great. Some people can't get up and do it, but you know what they did? They gave it to someone else to read. You provide that forum for them.
You know, and Mark, also, I was thinking, maybe the people that are afraid to speak can send an email to the board, and we can read it, have somebody read it, and address the concern publicly if they're afraid to speak.
I mean, in any discourse, you're gonna have the potential for a breakdown. In any discourse, in any negotiation, you have the potential for a breakdown. We can't not have discourse, we can't not have conversation. We can't not give a forum to people just because we're afraid it's not gonna be handleable by those who are running it. We have to understand that is a risk, but we have to understand that's a risk, especially in America, that needs to be provided for people to have a voice. We're here to give them a voice. I understand your concern. I don't mind getting yelled at. If you all wanna leave and let me get yelled at till it's done and come back in, fine, we'll let that happen. The point is, let them speak.
I don't think that's the point. I think that
But I think there's a
people
fear
can't
there.
get their voice out if people are yelling over
Right,
them.
it's
Then we
That's
ask-
some of intimidation.
Okay. I mean, that's.
I'll just add this, if you don't mind. It sounds to me, and again, I'll go back to the word semantics. It sounds like we're at a point where we would like to have a presentation to the board / public, similar to what we did tonight with the HIB grade. We've done that, we do that with the annual, the budget, we do it with the school nursing plan. So, I would just say that, when the document is provided and, reviewed by, Mr. Wasserman, that'll give us a better idea of where things are at. And we will share information with the curriculum committee and the board and, move forward in perhaps considering a presentation that kind of, informs the board, in terms of how the alignment will be working.
So there's a motion on the table
Whether you call it a special meeting or
that
a
is.
public
that
meeting,
calling
it doesn't make a difference to me.
With the, right, the
For a presentation.
Yes,
special
presentation.
meeting
For a presentation.
Well, that's not public forum. No,
No,
the motion is
motion.
public forum. special meeting for a public forum.
Right, but
So-
where
Right,
we have
yeah, it's-
administration willing to answer questions, so if he wants to make a presentation, somebody wants to make a presentation during this and open it up to
Right, but
questions.
it's still a
Right,
public
yeah,
forum back and forth,
exactly.
that's what I'm saying, so that's
So it's not
the
a
motion
regular,
on the
it's
table.
not a regular
Not a
meeting, so
regular
it doesn't follow the regular rules.
Right,
Correct.
okay, so let's,
You're ready for
Right.
discussion, because it is now, we're ready for
yes,
roll.
Yes.
yep. Alright, this is what.
So I'm gonna say, first, I have the greatest trust in our educators and Aaron over there. I really do. I have the greatest trust in them, and I know that they're gonna teach our kids well. But on the other hand, I also respect, as a mother of two sons, I also respect hearing your voice. So I'm gonna vote yes.
Mrs. Wilson,
Yes.
Dr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Vasile,
Yes.
Mrs. McSorley,
Yes.
Mr. Amarasano,
Yes.
Mrs. Beninga.
Yes.